Another good day here for a Mount Polumbus Speaks episode, and I appreciate all you guys that always tune in. Um, it's a Wednesday, and the Broncos have wrapped up their week of work. They are probably already in San Francisco. If not, they're on a plane on their way to San Francisco for their joint practices with the 49ers. Actually, I should say that singular joint practice with the 49ers. The Broncos will only have one joint practice with the 49ers. That's tomorrow. Then on Friday, the two teams will separate. They will do their own walkthroughs, and Saturday's the game. So we're just a few days away from the first preseason game for the Denver Broncos. And I was out there for every day of practice throughout the last week and a half, the last 2 weeks. And I got plenty to report on for you guys. So I'm going to give you guys a breakdown on everything that has happened out at training camp over the last few days since the weekend. I've also got a few random thoughts for you guys as we move forward here. Look, the Broncos released their initial depth chart. I'll show you that depth chart, and we'll talk through it. Were there any major surprises? How does Sean Payton always go about handling the initial depth chart? And is there really anything that we can garner from it? And then there's another topic that I'm going to bring up here at the end of the show. And it might sound like a silly one, but I'm actually relatively passionate about it. The NFL has banned smelling salts, or the ammonia tablets, capsules that you break in half and you smell on the sideline. Well, they've sort of banned those because they've said, well, the teams are no longer allowed to provide those to the players, but if players want to bring their own, hey, that's cool. You can go ahead and do that. I've actually got a really strong take on that you may or may not be interested in, of why the NFL are just the biggest, everybody in the NFL league office is just the biggest group of hypocrites you'll ever meet in your life, and why they don't care about the players. It's stupid that they're banning the smelling salts at all, that they're even attempting to do it, but the way that they've gone about it just goes to prove to you that is just a CYA league. That is a cover your ass league. And there is only one reason why they're doing it, and it is to cover their ass. So we'll talk about all that and more. But before I get into anything further, as always, got to take a quick second here to thank my title sponsor, Safeway. Safeway's been the title sponsor of Mount Polumbus Speaks now for 8 or 9 months, and super grateful to them for being a part of this thing and allowing me to put out a product that you guys watch. Also grateful to you guys who watch it. Otherwise, Safeway wouldn't want to sponsor it. Safeway's been my favorite local grocer, serving Colorado families since 1926. From fresh produce to tender cuts of meat, Safeway offers local fruits and vegetables from Colorado farms, and they serve Colorado Proud Angus beef. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and local small businesses, from Olathe corn and Rocky Ford melons to Palisade peaches. So know that you support local when you shop at Safeway. You can learn more at Safeway.com or shop in your local Safeway store today. And if you don't have that Safeway app on your phone, make sure you download it today, because you can save yourself a boatload of money in comparison to the other delivery service apps, and they make it super easy. Steve, good to see you. Appreciate you checking in. This is a live broadcast, so if anybody has got any thoughts or comments that they want to send in, any questions about training camp, specific players, as you can see, all you got to do is tweet it, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can send your comments in on YouTube as well, and they will pop up live on screen so that I can interact with you guys. And the more interactive we get, the more fun the shows usually are. So I highly encourage you guys communicating with me about anything you want, and I'll do my best to answer it. Okay, like I said, the Broncos did wrap up their week of work today. They got on a plane. They headed out to San Francisco. Today was just a walkthrough, so not a whole lot to garner from the action out there today. Monday, the Broncos came back from their 1 day off. Sunday was their 1 day off from last week. And last week was a pretty heavy work week. They were in full pads 5 days last week, and they got a lot of good work in. They were on the field for about 2.5 hours every single day, except for the first day of full pads. They had an abbreviated practice where they're only out there for an hour and a half. And Sunday was their mandated day off. The NFL does require you to give the guys 1 day off a week. So Sunday was their day off. Monday they came back and they did not have pads on. And, you know, here's the general gist of how I felt about this week's work that they've put in. They look like they're in the dog days of training camp. That's what they look like to me. They just look like a group that is a little bit bored, a little bit tired, a little bit sore. A group that has been hitting against each other now for a week and a half or so. And there just was not a ton of energy out at practice the last couple days. I don't want to make that sound like they were really bad practices. They were not. But they certainly were not overly enthusiastic practices. We had one day that I felt like the energy was just tremendous. And Malcolm Roach was talking trash all over the place. J.K. Dobbins was talking trash all over the place. And the energy was great. And I was really hoping the Broncos were going to replicate that every day throughout training camp. And it just has not happened. Sean is the type of coach that will play music during stretch and warm-ups. And then by the time they get to the team drills, the music is off. And, it's a small thing, but I think music helps. I think he should play the music during the team drills. I think it helps with the energy. The guys, they vibe to it and they get going a little bit. They need a change up. So I think it's a good time for them to head out to San Francisco, hit up against somebody else. They can lay into somebody that is not their teammate. Usually in these joint practices, tempers flare. You've usually got a fight or 10. You saw what happened out in the are you making anything out of the depth chart or not? I'll get to the depth chart for sure. So hang with me, Steve. We'll talk about the depth chart here in just a few minutes. Usually get some fights. I don't know if you guys saw what happened out at the Patriots and Commanders joint practice, but there was like a 53 guy on 53 guy brawl. Mike Vrabel actually got right in the middle of it, and he came out with a bloody cheek. So the head coach of the Patriots came out bloodied from the fight that was going on out there. I'm not saying that you got to have one of those, but I do think it's good. It's good. When you get out there against another team, tempers flare, you get to let out a little bit of anger. You got some testosterone that's been brewing for a couple weeks, hitting against your own guys. I'm down with a training camp fight. I'm down with the joint practice fights. Coaches always act like they hate it. They love it. Coaches secretly love it. They might make you run. They might punish you, but internally they're like, yeah, that dude's got some dog in him. I like number 76. I like what that dude's doing. They all say the same thing. They all say, boys, we got to keep our composure. In a game, you're getting yourself kicked out. And then secretly behind closed doors, they go upstairs, they turn on the film. They're like, that's my dude. That's my guy right there. So we'll see. The Broncos only have 1 day of practice against the 49ers, though, so I don't know if that's going to be enough to let the tempers flare. Usually you've got 2 days. However, the Broncos have actually got 2 joint practice sessions going on this preseason. So they've got one this week against the 49ers, and then they're going to have another joint practice session next week against the Arizona Cardinals, and that one will be in Denver. Fans can be out there for it, and they will have 2 days of work against the Arizona Cardinals. Bo Nix. What do I want to say on Bo Nix for the last 4 or 5 days? Not bad. Not bad at all. Not special. He's tossed a lot of interceptions over the last 4 practices. Averaging 2 to 3 interceptions per practice, except for yesterday. Yesterday, he did not have any interceptions, so he got that under control. I don't panic about the interceptions at all. John, what's the biggest competition in camp for starting position, if any? There's very few, John. Very, very few positional battles going on this team right now. I would say probably the running back position between J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. J.K. Dobbins is your starting running back as of today, but that's going to be a full-on battle that's going to go on into the first few weeks of the season. Other than that, though, there really are very, very few positional battles going on in this team, which is a good thing. That means they brought back a lot of starters, and the guys they brought in the building, the rookies, they don't have to count on all too many of them. Back to Bo Nix. I'm not trying to dismiss the interceptions entirely, but I also want to set the stage that training camp is the time that I want my quarterback to try some things. I want my quarterback to not be afraid to press some passes that maybe he normally wouldn't press. Find out which wide receivers he can trust with the jump balls. I would say the far majority of the interceptions that Bo Nix has had so far in training camp, they've been just kind of toss it up, hope and prayer, deep jump balls to Courtland Sutton that have been bad decisions that Courtland has not had a real chance to go get. Sam asked, can you share your observations of the offensive defensive lines? Yes, I can. Defensive line's wrecking shop. Moral of the story. Defensive line is wrecking shop out there. You have got an elite defense. That's not a secret. I'm not breaking any news. That's not a hot take. It's just reality. You've got an elite defense. And Bo Nix, to be fair, on a handful of these pressures, it has been caused by pressure that's in his face, that his offensive line has not been doing a great job of keeping their guys off of their QB. I'm not worried about this offensive line. I think this offensive line is really good. I do. A lot of rankings have got the Denver Broncos offensive line ranked as the number one offensive line in the NFL. I'm not quite ready to go that far. I think there's some groups that are better, but I do think they're probably a top 5 unit. And by the time they get to games, it gets so much easier for offensive lines. You got to understand that everything in practice is situational. So we're in a team run period. Well, the defensive line knows that we're running the football. We're in a 3rd and long period. Well, the defensive line knows that it's a pass. We're in a blitz pickup period. Okay, well, they're blitzing every single time. So everything in practice is situational, and it just makes life so much easier on the defense. Offensive linemen, by the time you get to move the ball periods, by the time you get to preseason football, by the time you get to the regular season, and you're not in situational football, and the defenses don't know what plays you're going to run, you take a deep breath. You're like, oh, thank God, we finally got here. And it gets so much easier. So I think this offensive line is going to be okay. The one dude that I'm a big fan of, but has not looked great, has been Mike McGlinchey. Mike got banged up early on in training camp, and he missed a day or two. I think it was a knee injury. And, he's one of those dudes that always kind of lives life dangerously. He looks like he's in trouble, but he's so freaking athletic that he usually makes up for it, and he ends up being okay 9 out of 10 plays. But you feel like he's fighting for his life out there. And I don't know if it's the knee injury. I don't know if he's getting older, but his athleticism just has not seemed what it once was. That being said, I still think he's a good tackle. I still think you've got a really good offensive line, and I'm going to reserve my judgment on where they're at until after I see some preseason football. But the reality is, you ask the question, and I'll just give you the honest answer, the defensive line has been kicking their ass. They have been. So that's just where we're at. Coming back to Bo Nix here for a minute, and I'll wrap this up. Despite the fact that he's tossed a bunch of interceptions, I'm okay with it. I don't think he's had a day that I've been like, yeah, Bo Nix was really, really bad. I also don't think that there's been a day that I've been like, Bo Nix was really special. That's just the reality. It's just where we're at. Sean Payton is hyping up the hell out of this football team right now. And boy, is he hyping up the hell out of his young QB. I mean, Sean cannot get enough. He can't say enough. He can't shut up. And specifically with the national reporters. Sean's talking to Diana Rossini. He's talking to Chase Daniel. He's talking to Charles Robinson. He's talking to Albert Breer. All of these people, Sean is just yapping about how amazing his quarterback is. He called his quarterback a top 4 or 5 QB in the NFL. All right, dude. All right. I mean, I love the confidence. I'm here for it. And if I'm Bo Nix, that certainly is good to hear that my coach has got that much belief in me. But I'm sort of like, hey, Sean, like slow the roll, dude. Slow it down just a little bit. We don't got to anoint him as a top 5 QB yet. I mean, he's probably the third best quarterback in the AFC West, yet alone in the AFC. I mean, you want to go down the QBs in the AFC from Lamar Jackson to Josh Allen to Joe Burrow to Patrick Mahomes to Justin Herbert. I mean, you want to keep going? Where does Bo Nix fall just in the AFC? Could Bo Nix be a top 4 or 5 QB within the next 2 years? I hope so. But I certainly wouldn't be anointing him yet. And I do think it's a dangerous game to play. This is not an accusation. It's just a reality, okay? So I'm not accusing Bo Nix of anything. I'm just giving you reality. When you hear enough praise about yourself, people keep telling you how amazing you are over and over and over. That's cool to hear. Don't get me wrong. And when you don't have any real competition on the team, I think it's human nature to just kind of settle in a little bit, to kind of feel like you've arrived. So I'm all for positive affirmation. I'm all for telling this guy he's good. I don't think football has to be played like the Bill Belichick way, where the only way of coaching is through negativity. But I do think that Sean Payton needs to slow the roll here a little bit. Look, not only has he anointed his quarterback as a top 4 or 5 QB, he's also said that he's only coached 6 teams previously that he felt like was capable of winning a Super Bowl, and this is the 7th. All right, now we're talking about Super Bowls. Yeah, the hype can feel good. Let me get caught up on some of these comments here really quick. John said, I'm all for the hype, gives us positive feeling. Shoot, I lost it. I'm all for the hype, gives us positive feeling going into the season. Been a while since they've gone into games expecting to win. Yep, they do need to expect to win. That is for sure. They absolutely need to expect to win at this point, especially the way that their coach is hyping them up. Chris says there's a lot of excitement surrounding the Broncos this season. Based on what you've observed at training camp so far, do you think they've lived up to the hype? Oh, that's a tough question. Defense has for sure. Defense is living up to the hype. But you can't have two sides look good at the same time in training camp, right? So if the defense is going to look great, well, the offense isn't looking great. If the offense looks great, the defense isn't looking great. You're going up against the same team. So it's really hard to tell in training camp. You never know what you've really got until you go up against somebody else. But I absolutely will say this defense, if this defense is not a top 5 unit at the end of the year, it will be a huge, huge disappointment. Steve says, not going to lie, the hype feels good. It does. I just think it's dangerous. I mean, don't you think in the big picture what we did last year was pretty cool? Like, you made it to the playoffs. I know we've got bigger aspirations around here. We're the Denver Broncos. We talk about Super Bowls and everything. But you made it to the playoffs in Bo Nix's rookie year. If we could just take a straight linear progression, and football is not linear like this, but if you took a straight, pure linear progression for Bo Nix's career, you would go from making the playoffs, winning a playoff game, making an AFC championship, making it to a Super Bowl. So in reality, if you had a pure, straight, linear progression that like a stock chart was just going straight up, and we know that that doesn't happen, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and you just hope over time the trajectory is still going up higher and higher. If you had that straight linear progression, you'd be talking about maybe another 3 years until we're really talking about competing for a Super Bowl, right? So I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade by any means, because I think there's a lot of really good stuff going on out there, but slow the roll a little bit. Slow the roll. Sean Payton, there's no reason to put this much hype on this team. There's no reason to put this amount of expectations on this team. You got a good squad. Cool. You believe in them. Cool. You love everybody you got. Cool. You're calling Diana Rossini at 3 a.m. and you're leaving awkward, weird voicemails where all you say is, hey, I love my Q. Cool. A little bit creepy, but cool. You love your Q. That's a true story, by the way. Diana Rossini said that Sean Payton called her, left a voicemail, didn't say hi, didn't say hello, just said, I love my Q. Like, why? Why are we just calling random reporters and making this much hype? I don't know. Sean Payton's feeling himself right now. There's no question. He loves his football team, and I'll just cross my fingers and hope and pray that this team is as good as Sean Payton actually thinks it is. Justin says, I like the fact that we finally have expectations again. I think the guys in the locker room have even higher expectations. Expectations are good. I'm down. And then Steve says, at the very least, we should make it to the divisional round. Okay. I do want to go to a comment here from Joe Dodd because this is where I was going to go next. I feel passionate about this subject. It's a little bit of a silly subject, but sometimes the NFL just drives me insane because they're so freaking hypocritical. They act like they care about player safety. They act like they care about dudes in retirement. They don't give a rat's ass. They don't. They worry about covering their own ass. It's a CYA league. Okay. So Joe sends in a memo that went out. ESPN has obtained a message from the NFLPA sent to players Wednesday night clarifying that the league's ban on smelling salts only applies to clubs providing it to players, meaning bring your own smelling salts. So it's cool if you bring your own smelling salts. Oh, my God. I freaking hate the NFL sometimes. I freaking hate the NFL. They're so freaking hypocritical. Can we just think about this for a second? First off, banning smelling salts at all is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Smelling salts are not bad, okay? I know that people think of them as bad. I know that people see you sniffing these things. They're like, oh, those can't be good for you. All they do is it's just a quick hit of ammonia or smelling salts that makes you alert, right? So the NFL is saying, well, it can mask concussions. Okay, well, they were literally invented to wake people up, so that's true, but we are so far beyond the point of masking concussions. We've got concussion spotters out there. We've got we're just beyond that point, right? So the NFL is saying, hey, teams can no longer provide smelling salts to players. So what's the NFL saying? And then they put it out, well, the teams can't supply these smelling salts. However, it's okay for the players to buy their own smelling salts. It's okay for the players to bring them on the sideline. It's okay for the players to use smelling salts during the game. It's just not okay for the team to actually provide those smelling salts to the guys. So in other words, typical NFL covering their ass. Hey world, these smelling salts, they're really, really bad for you. So we're going to kind of, sort of, quote unquote, ban them. Kind of, sort of. We're going to ban them. We're going to ban them because these things are really, really bad. They're so really, really bad for you that we don't want to get our asses sued. So, yeah, we're going to make it so clubs can no longer supply these things for you. But you know what? We thought about it. We thought about it for a quick second. And actually, smelling salts aren't that bad for you. So players, if you want to do it on your own, that's cool, right? But they're really, really bad. So teams can't supply it, but they're not that bad. So if you want to do it on your own, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. We'll close our eyes. We won't look at you doing it on your own. Can you just think about the hypocrisy in that for a second? Just think about it. How stupid is that? If they're bad, they're bad. If there's science out there saying that this is masking concussions, if there's science out there saying that ammonia is bad for you, whatever, okay, cool, ban them. Ban them. If you're telling me that this is dangerous for me, ban them. Tell me that I'm not allowed to use them, but don't tell me that they're so bad that the team can't apply them for you, but it's okay for me to go buy them on Amazon.com and bring it to the sideline. Don't tell me that, because all that's telling me is you're a bunch of hypocrites that are trying to cover your own ass. That's it. That's it. You're just a bunch of hypocrites that are trying to cover your own ass. You don't really care about player safety. You don't really care if smelling salts are actually bad for you. You don't really care if they're masking my concussions, because if you really cared, and if there was actual data, if there's actual science out there that said that smelling salts are actually bad for you, well, then you would be telling me, hey, Tyler, you can't go buy those on Amazon.com because they're going to kill you. Because in 20 years, you're going to have post-concussion syndrome that came because you took some smelling salts. Am I alone on this? I mean, am I the only human being that can see the hypocrisy in the NFL? Hey, we love you, players. Dudes in retirement. Yeah, you're like, you mean the world to us. We're not going to give you lifetime health insurance, but we care. So if there's anything we could ever do for you, call us. Call us, right? Just call us. We're there for you. So freaking stupid. Sorry. That got me going. Smelling salts. I told you it was a stupid subject, but I told you I felt passionate about it. I don't know why. I don't know why it hit me like that, but you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my first couple years in the NFL. And you know what? I guess I'm going to put myself out there in a way that I probably never have before. Okay? I'll put myself out there. I don't even care. It's fine. So my first few years in the NFL, on Saturday nights, you've got your team meeting, right? And after your team meeting is over, 9:30, you got your game tomorrow. You got trainers standing in the back of the room. They got little envelopes. They've just got 50, 60, 70 of these things, little envelopes. Inside these envelopes are Ambien. Hey, if you struggle with sleeping the night before the game, here's a little envelope. Just get in line. You don't need to talk to a doctor. You don't need to explain anything. If you struggle with sleeping, here's a little envelope. It's got Ambien in it. You can take it on Saturday nights. Okay? Cool. You know what? I struggle to sleep on Saturday nights. Let me get one of those Ambiens. I get stressed before games. Let me get one of those Ambiens. Hey, Sunday, post-game, we're on the team flight back. Had his body hurt? Anybody struggle to wind down after the game? Here, take one of these envelopes. Here's some Ambien. Right? So Saturday night turns into Sunday night. Saturday night and Sunday night turns into me walking into the office on Monday night and saying, hey, my body hurts on Monday night also. Can I get some Ambien on Monday night? Cool. Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. All of a sudden, wow, I like Ambien. Ambien helps me to sleep. Let me get some more of that. Oh, cool. Yeah, you want to take Ambien every night? No problem. Here's a script. Here's a script for the next 12 years. Actually, let's call it 15 years because they continued to prescribe it for me even after retirement. So little envelopes that you just get in line for, Ambien, here, pass it out. Well, that turns into all of us fully addicted to Ambien, including myself, hand up. So happy to be off that. I finally broke that sucker. I've been off it for about 3 years now, but I got addicted to Ambien for about 15 years. Hey, you need some painkillers? No problem. We're only going to give you one or two at a time, so it's not a big deal, right? Here's a little envelope of painkillers. Have some of these. You can have some of those also. Okay, cool. Now, they weren't. You wanted some painkillers, you get yourself painkillers. That wasn't very difficult. Well, about halfway through my career, we go through a new CBA, and they change a bunch of rules, including Toradol and everything else. And so, Toradol is another thing that on Saturday nights, it's just, hey, you want a Toradol shot? Cool. Get in line. No reason. You don't need any reason. Just take a Toradol shot. Oh, halfway through my career, exact same thing as smelling salts. Hey, we found out that Toradol masks the concussions. So Toradol is now bad for you. So you're no longer allowed to get Toradol. Actually, you know what? We rethought that, NFL, and you can still get Toradol, but now you got to sign a little waiver on Saturday night saying you won't sue the NFL for this masking my concussions. We're still going to give it to you, but you just got to sign a little waiver, and then you can have that Toradol. Is it bad for me or not? Does it mask concussions or not? Because we're players. We'll take anything to help us play tomorrow. If you're telling me this shot is going to make my body feel better, well, I want to play tomorrow. So, yeah, I'll take the shot of Toradol, and if I got to sign the damn waiver, I'll sign the damn waiver. But is it bad for me or is it not? I mean, is your science tell me that this is going to give me more concussions? So the rules change, but then you know what they say? Okay, well, the rules are really only changing for the younger players that are new to this CBA. All you older players that you're grandfathered in. So if you already got scripts for all this stuff, don't worry about it. We got you covered. We already got you addicted to it. So, yeah, we got you covered. There you go. Tyler was addicted to Ambien for like 15 years. Thank God I'm off of it. NFL, they just drive me nuts, man. They drive me nuts. I love the NFL. I hate the building. I hate the people that run it. I hate the hypocrisy. I hate how weak our NFLPA is. I hate that we get railroaded every single time there's a new CBA. Every single time we get to the negotiations, we've got the worst PA of all the professional sports. We're the only league that doesn't have lifetime health insurance and a million other things. We're the most violent league, and yet we're the only league that doesn't have health insurance. I know none of you guys feel bad for me, and that's not the point. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for me. I do it all over 10 out of 10 times. I do it all over 10 out of 10 times. Please, if I could live this life again, I would do it again. I would absolutely do it all over again. This isn't like a woe is me. It's just reality, and it's just the NFL is just a bunch of hypocrites. They just don't care. So this whole smelling salts, yeah, it triggered me. The smelling salts thing triggered me. Smelling salts are bad, so we're no longer going to provide them for you, but they're not that bad if you want to take them on your own. That's it. Ran over. Bunch of guys sent in comments during all that. I was ranting so hard I couldn't even read any of them. I'm trying to read some of them right now. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Now that my rant's over, I'm gonna go dial down my blood pressure here a little bit, and I'm gonna get out of here. Broncos are out in San Francisco now, so unfortunately I will not have my eyeballs on tomorrow's practice, but there'll be plenty of reporters out there that will get us caught up to speed. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys watching Mount Polumbus Speaks. If you haven't subscribed, hit that link in my bio on X. Go on over to YouTube and hit subscribe. That's where all my content lives. If you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of my future stuff, make sure you go subscribe over on YouTube, because I put out stuff that lives unique to only YouTube, and I don't always live stream on X. So if you like what I do, make sure you go hit subscribe, and know that I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Justin, and I appreciate all you guys that are sending in comments. That was a fun